All right, guys, welcome back. Join here with Trump for GEICO Summer Brawl number two. We have the what are we calling it? This type of format? It's the Clash of the Keywords challenge, and all minions must contain the same keyword and different keywords. Keywords must be used for each deck. I think I keep saying keyboards. Man, I suck at this. And of course, all spells and weapons are a fair game. So the interesting dynamic is that there's really three very dominant keywords. There's the taunt, there's the death rattle, and there's the battle cry. We haven't seen any of the wilder ones with the divine shield, with the charge, as you mentioned. So maybe we'll see some pretty crazy stuff here. But we have Zalae versus Sjow. Again, both players sporting Hunter. In this case, both players sporting Paladin and Druid as well. Were these the three classes that you ended up making in your trial run?
Yeah, these are the exact three classes that I was thinking about. Battlecry Paladin because of the Dragon Consort and all the Dragon synergy. Death Rattle Hunter because it's the closest to a top tier constructed deck. And Taunt
Mhm.
Druid because it's again closest to a top tier constructed deck, and there are a lot of cards that help solve it. Zalae with Loatheb, so we know
Oh,
that he's playing Battlecry Paladin.
this direction.
Wow, show with what looks to be a pretty aggressive deck if he's running Misdirection.
hmm like you can actually make creatureless hunter decks that don't completely suck. So maybe it's close to that.
Or maybe there's also whoa, that's double bluegill warrior. That's a
Yeah, charge, boys. Has to
Leroy
be charge.
bluegill warrior. Here we go.
All
Zaleo.
right. Zalae has the perfect
Is that
counter
because
71% of the time here.
oh man, this Mad Bomber is very good.
Oh yeah, he is indeed exceptional. That is the perfect RNG Mad Bomber.
Yeah, that Mad Bomber is gonna end up being a 2.5 for one, since it takes out two of those bluegill warriors and the coin.
Yeah,
Actually, it doesn't even die because it's gonna be a
muster for battle.
muster here.
Yeah, it seems like muster is a good choice. You do take a little bit of extra damage in what is obviously going to be a face deck, but the board presence is really high, and if Unleash is not drawn, you can probably secure the board from this turn onward.
Yep, Zalae also teching in a bit of that Death Rattle hate with the Scarlet Purifier. So it looks like this is a pretty well matched deck against shows here.
Did you consider the Scarlet Purifier when you were building your decks?
No, I actually didn't.
Hmm. It does seem like an interesting choice.
4/4 quick shot.
Oh man. I mean, we make fun of that boar, but it is a pretty good kill command activator. They never expect the 6 damage, you know?
Yeah, oh man, show's running out of steam even though he has 5 cards. The quick shot's gonna be really hard to get a card off of since he'll have to play both the Leroy and the Commander before the quick shot in that case.
Well, Leroy is pretty good if they have 6 or 7 creatures. All right. Well, Scarlet Purifier is obviously not going to get much value, as I don't believe there are any charged creatures with Death Rattle.
Wow, that could actually be a thing though. That'd be an interesting card design.
Yeah. All right. There's the Wolf Rider. Looks like the only way you're weaving in hero power this turn is with a quick shot, and that's a pretty sad state. Maybe it's just
It-
time to misdirect.
Ugh, and just fluff the explosive, but
Well, it'll probably hit a one
just
anyway.
attack. Well, at least all the hunters can appreciate Show's mastery of the class. He's clearly doing it correctly.
All right. Well, the quick shot he feels is going to slow down the game enough to actually net more than 3 damage, and I agree with him that that 4 damage creature is probably getting in at least like 2 or 3 hits if he doesn't make that play. It's just very sad. Oh my God.
Oh dear.
Okay. This game's over really soon. Feels like so. This is how it's going to be. Well, for Show to stay alive, I think he needs Unleash and Explosive Trap in the same draw, and that's obviously impossible. So. Looks like that's not going to cut it.
Yep. That
Wow.
is what 4, 7, 11, 16. 16 face damage and charge in his hand. Just needed a few more turns.
I would go with several more turns, but yes,
Yep.
it's absolutely right.
Well, like 3 or 4. Yep.
Yeah.
Zalae quickly knocks it out with the excellent battle cry cards. Looks like he wasn't going for the dragon thing. Just a lot of good battle cry cards. A little surprised with the Guardian of Kings. You can also put in anti-kill bot. They're both good.
I'm actually kind of surprised that the Battlecry deck made such quick work of the charge deck because if you really have to think about it, it seems like the taunt deck would fare better, and maybe even the Battlecry deck would fare better because the creatures would be so sticky.
Yeah, but Zalae managed to get that 2 drop into the 3 drop, and the 2 drop also took out the 1 drop. Basically, Mad Bomber was the MVP there. It
That's
got
true.
rid of so much potential damage. Mad
Whoa!
Bomber probably helped against like 4 damage.
That hand matchup looks like it's going to be Druid versus Druid, but Show's got the battle cries, which are pretty interesting against the taunts here. Um, I wonder if he actually has like two big games. The big game is such a cool card because like you kind of anticipate your opponent is playing a taunt deck. So if you really get to think about it, does Ironbark make the default list? Did Ironbark make your list?
Ironbark did make my list. There's also the other Druid card, which is the Ironbark Light 7/8 taunt, which
Yeah.
I'll cost 1 less for each one. That one didn't make my list, but I could have seen people use it.
Hmm.
I think the Big Game Hunter is a really good card in this format because if you're playing against the Battlecry deck, they're going to have Doctor Boom, and if you're playing against the Taunt deck, they're probably going to have Ironbark Protector.
Hmm. All right. Well, no information yet, but he has to understand it's probably the taunt deck because he's already seen the Paladin be the battle cry vessel. So it's going to have to be basically taunt, death rattle, or maybe charge is a thing in Druid. We don't know.
And this is a nice one. A top arena pick, Silverhand Knight, makes it onto the field on turn 2. Turn 2, 6/6 worth of stuff. It's pretty good.
Pretty good. What do you actually think about maybe a stealth Druid? Because if you have a lot of draw and double combo, the stealth creatures can just like kill him.
Oh, that would be interesting. So you'd put in the Shade of Naxxramas, obviously, and then the
Tigers,
the
Panthers,
Guildlin
Worgans.
Tiger Panther. Yeah, that could be a thing.
All right. Well, Wrath takes care of the 4/4 body. It's an all right trade. I feel like this match has a lot of play in it, so taking a bunch of damage at the start isn't really the biggest deal. Actually, the tempo BGH seems. I think Zele might be chuckling there a little bit after that.
Yeah, he's gonna be playing the 8/8 the next turn with the Innervate probably, and
Yeah.
then Sjow will be a little bit sad. From Show's perspective, it makes a lot of sense to do this because the next turn that something like that could come up would be turn 8 if Zalae is running Ironbark Protector, which isn't even a guarantee.
Hmm. Well, he can kill the Death Lord here. It is relatively efficient because you can do Wrath for 1 and Hero Power. You just have to think about what the average creature in your deck is and if you can kill a 2/3 taunt easily.
Yeah, some cool add-ons into Show's deck. Silverhand Knight is an inspired choice. So is Toshli. A lot of good choices in the Battlecry set, especially in the late game. A lot of good dragons, especially. I was expecting more dragons to come up because
Mhm.
one, Nozdormu is a dragon, two, Corruptor and the Technician. They're both excellent cards.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right about that. Battlecry just has overall very high card quality, but it's generally deck synergy that makes these really good
Wow,
constructed
wow.
decks.
2/3. Oh,
Oh,
Ancient of War.
wow.
Big reason to play the Taunt deck.
Would you be
Oh, by the
thinking if...
way, worth
Yeah.
mentioning, a specific rule is you can only put that in Taunt in this deck. Uh, Same with the Bear also. The Druid of the Claw. You have to choose the Taunt form.
Okay, yeah, you have to choose the appropriate form. Yeah. It is not only a deck restrictive format, is what Trump's saying. It is a play restrictive format. So when you have the option to choose something that doesn't go along with the deck, you are disallowed from that.
Choose one was a deck that I actually considered because that is also a mechanic, but it just turned out that most of the choose one cards you can
Or
just put it in a
spells.
Taunt deck instead.
Yeah. All right. Well, the taunt wall is up. Um, phew. I don't really see this going
And it's pretty
anywhere.
hard to get past.
Yeah, has to be like poison seed style. Oh man, Show's getting clobbered. Oh!
Oh, there you
Whoa!
go.
There you go indeed.
That's one of the few things that could have turned this around. Double
Wow.
BGH.
Double BGH does make a pretty heavy impression on the board here. Um, I'm kind of thinking, oh, you have to play the Earthen Ring, but the question is, do you want to play it on Loatheb or your face here because you're pretty far behind on the life difference.
Yeah, that's a good question, especially since it's still a 5/5, which still dies to the Ancient of War. Usually it would be the minion, but in this case, it doesn't seem to matter when you're up against the 5/10. So I think I would go face.
Hmm. Well, he hits up Loatheb if Zalae chooses to go face and play. Actually, no, he basically can't choose to go face anymore. So actually, that turns out much better, doesn't it? Because otherwise, Zilly would have gone face. You would have been at -2, and the Lotheb would have died anyway. Now, Zele, if he wants to play one of his taunts, he has to trade into the Lotheb. So
That's true.
Sjow essentially gained 2 extra life points. Very interesting.
Yeah, additionally, you can expect the Taunt Druid to be running two of the 3/5s, the Sludge Vulture and the Tazinga.
All right. Well, there's the Dark Iron, which makes sense on the double BGH. If you can upgrade your opponent's 5 attack creatures into BGH range, suddenly it merits running 2 of them fairly easily.
All right, that is very clever. Wonder if Sjow also put in Abusives or if two Dark Iron Dwarfs were enough. Probably just two Dark Iron Dwarfs, I would expect.
Hmm. Wow, surprisingly, it looks like Sjow is stabilized.
Yeah, he really needed that VGH, but that was a big swing. A basically 3 mana 12/10 for Sjow.
Yeah.
Since it
Oh
no
my
no it's not
God.
just yeah basically that.
There's another one.
Ooh
Um, oh, this one does die to the swipe and the Dark Iron. You could even have a more tragic death if Sjow draws something better. Like if he does the Gnomish first, which I think he should, he might draw into another Dark Iron Dwarf here, which would be a little bit better than the swipe. Nope, it is going to be a Drake.
yep. Like the variety of cards Sjow has it. I don't think he's played a duplicate of any card yet.
BGH.
Oh, other than that one. That one's a very important one.
Yeah, it is. All right, looks like Zillion wants to extract as much value as he can. I feel like he's already played most of his really big creatures. Like there's
Yeah.
not that many creatures with taunt that are very big. There are a few other ones that are like high mana cost, but they just don't have too big of a body. You consider like things like Sunwalker, things in that mana range. Um,
Yep. And it's worth mentioning again that Cenarius and Hogger are not allowed in this format because the card itself does not have taunt. They were cards that I both were going to put in, but it was like, oh, that doesn't work.
yeah. Oh, reversing switch. Hmm.
That'll be a big deal if Zalae ever plays the Ancient of War #2.
Hmm. That's true, but if he's ahead enough on the board, he might not even need that. Oh, Savage Roar. Wow. That's uh that's 5 + 6 + 4. That's 2 off lethal.
Yeah, that is really close. Um, Probably Zalae's best move is to Savage Roar Hero Power and hit everything face, and then next turn you just swipe hero. Oh, but then Sjow just Hero Powers. Uh, you could set it so that next turn he would have lethal unless Sjow Hero Powered, but I'm sure
Yeah.
Sjow would Hero Power.
Yeah. I think he's forced into making that play though. I think you're right about that.
Yeah, Zalae's outs would be then if he could get spell damage somehow, but I don't think that's possible in a taunt deck. And taunt decks can't charge, so he would need probably exactly a swipe to do it.
Well, no, Tontex do charge Force of Nature. If you're running
Oh,
Savage
that's
Rogue,
right.
you're,
Force
you're
of Nature will
you're
definitely be
probably
run.
running Force of Nature. Okay.
Wow,
Sjow
that's
needs to
another
set up
interesting
some
one.
form of taunt. If he can get a Sunfear Protector, that'd be really powerful. No, not quite. Hmm. He really needs to push for damage now, though. Like, I think he might have to Bomb Blob and then Innervate Hero Power.
Yeah, that probably makes it so that Show will have enough damage to win the next turn. Yeah, easily, I think. 4, 9, 12, 15, 17. Actually, it's very close. That's exactly lethal the next turn.
Well, the
Plus
flip
reversing
spare
switch.
part is 2 damage.
Yeah. All right, so this is it for Zalae. Wow,
Oh!
there you go.
There it is. The Chargers come through. Oh, so sorry, Sjow. Yeah, Sjow had some outs. He didn't get them. Instead, Zalae got them. And Zalae does take it. It was a very, very swingy game, and it's not really typically what you expect out of a Druid Mirror. I think Druid Mirror is very, very boring and slow, but that's not what happened there. One player with the excessive ramp into huge creatures, but the big game hunter providing some pretty explosive turns there.
That's
In
right. That
the
was a really enjoyable back and forth.
Yeah, in the end, Zalae takes it, and he is up 2 points to none. I'm liking Show's decks though, but I have a feeling that Hunter's going to have a difficult time pulling out a win. Um, we know it's going to be death. Oh, we'll have to see if it does here. We know it's going to be a death rattle Hunter for sure. Mm. I wonder if
Yeah.
it's more of an aggressively tuned death rattle Hunter. If he chooses to pick up like some of the more sticky minions and things like Belchers, I feel like Show's charge deck is going to have trouble kind of getting a win. But still, uh, there's always a chance in the face matches.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things in Constructed is that Face Hunter is almost always, well, Face Hunters are strongly favored against the slower type of hunters, but part of that is because of the sticky minions as well, like the leopard gnomes and the
Hmm.
haunted creepers. So it's going to be interesting to see how a pure face deck fares. Zalay actually thought about keeping Unleash the Hounds, I would expect for a moment, just because Sjow is running so many one health minions. But that's probably still too slow.
All right. Well, Show has the option to Bluegill face again. Chooses not to take it though. I think he's going to get actually kind of punished here. Glade Zuka is going to swing in for 5.
Yeah, I mean, the Leopard Gnome is also a really strong consideration just because you want to play the slower card, even though it's not on curve. But you drew into Eaglehorn Bow, so Zalay's like kind of doing the calculation. Okay, I think I can kill him with all the weapon charges, so
Hmm.
I'll play the more on curve card.
Who's playing the true face deck here? Whoa.
Is this going to be a Moonfire minion?
I like it. I like the Stone Tusk Boar into a Bluegill face. He kind of reverses the damage swing a little bit.
Well, yeah, but that's still kind of sad because basically you traded one for one, and you took like
5.
4 damage, 5 damage.
Yeah. It's a little sad, but I think in the very aggressive decks when they face off against each other, the player going first with a 1-drop is usually going to start the damage lead.
Yep. I was expecting a hero power, but Zalae picked up a 1-drop and makes the calculation that that'll usually do more than 2 damage. And that's probably going to happen. Plus,
Okay.
Zalae does need the card.
What do you think about just Unleash Face here?
It's pretty wild. I think Animal Companion is better, just because it's a slower card. You want to get your
Hmm.
slow cards out of the way first.
All right. Well, that quick shot is probably going to end up drawing a card, so I'd be surprised if he doesn't go
Ooh,
for the
that's a good
bow.
one.
Yeah, there's absolutely a good one. All right, and yeah, basically you were saying the death rattle tech does seem to face a little harder than pure face. Okay, well the misdirect is really powerful here. Normally you want a minion to hit another minion when misdirect comes down, but
Yeah, this will be a surprise.
yeah,
I
in
wonder
this
if Zalae
case
will
it
even realize that the leper nym will die.
yeah,
Let's see his expression.
when
This
weapons
doesn't
are
happen very
active they
often.
do damage. Yeah.
He's unfazed by that. Usual.
All right. Oh boy. I think you actually do the here the sorry the bluegill because you have to expect this game is ending really soon.
Um, I think you have to almost always use the hero power when you're playing the charge deck, though, because you have a very finite amount of damage.
Hmm.
So by using the hero power there, you gained 2 damage somewhere throughout the course, and it doesn't look like that hand has enough damage to finish it out.
Ooh, Sylvanas, a little bit of a slow tech, but it does push for lethal.
Yep. With 10, Sjow basically needs to find a way to win. Oh, but that's not gonna
Yeah, that
be
sucks.
quite enough.
No, it's not. If you give him two
Survive.
whelps, 7, you have yeah, you have the kill command quick shot hero power. You have unleash kill command. That doesn't really do it.
Yeah, from Show's perspective, though, he can survive with the
Hover.
attacking a minion and then explosive trap.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You think he's gonna try to bluff freeze trap here?
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's a pretty strong bluff. But if you're running misdirection, usually the other trap is going to be explosive trap. Those two tend to be the most aggressive traps available for going face.
Or it could just be a misdirection.
Yeah, yeah, that could definitely be misdirection.
And if it's misdirection, you actually don't want to attack. But if it's misdirection, I think you just kill command face, quick shot face, and then pass. And how do you lose 13 life on 7 mana? It's not even possible.
Yep.
So you just win anyway. You don't have to attack here. The only way you
That's
lose
a
is actually by attacking and it's misdirect.
that's a really smart play by Zalae and a fun bluff by Show.
Yeah. Arcane shot. Truly the face hunter. I'm sure some people watching are really confused right now. They've been trained and grown up to believe that face hunter goes face and wins the game. Not so sometimes. All right, well, Sjow gets swept by Zele, mostly on the back of this charging hunter deck being perhaps a little bit too experimental, a little bit too ambitious.
That's right. I think he's been listening to that song too often, and it got to him.
Well, it was absolutely a pleasure to see the games play through, so I don't mind it too much. But we have our semi-final here. Um, we do know that Zele will advance alongside Eloise. We'll actually see the semifinal up next, so it will be Eloise versus Zele right after a few minutes break. But what do you think about the two winners going on? Who's your man or gal in our first semifinal here, Trump?
Well, Zalae brought like the 3 decks that I would consider the decks to beat. Although he didn't have dragons in his paladin deck,
Mm,
or we didn't see any that would be really good. I still think his lineup is very strong. Sjow had a really fun lineup with all those battle cry druids, saw a lot of unique cards. But I think Zalae's lineup is just very very sturdy.
hmm I'm thinking that Eloise is going to give him a good set of matches. I think the Zoo Warlock, even though it didn't seem very strong, I think it was explosive enough to maybe challenge all these decks, as all of them seem maybe a little bit slower. So, hmm, we'll see. We'll check out those games when we come back. We'll be just a few minutes, guys. Tune in.